It's lovely to be here today, and I have to first of all say I've been working with children from the care system for 30 years, and I never planned to do all the different qualifications. It just sort of evolved that I had the drama therapy and then I've added to things, excuse me, over the years. So it's really good to be here today. Thank you for the introduction, Tamsin. We've got some big topics to be thinking about. So we're going to be thinking about sleep, about food, and about toileting. It's not going to be hugely in depth because we only have this little bit of time, but I'll do my best. There is time for you to check questions in the Q&A, and we'll have question time later. But I'll talk you through the PowerPoint and just lay out some thinking about how we would approach things at Family Futures. And it also links to two books that I've co-written with Alan Burnell for Bath Quorum. One is on toileting and one is on, not on toileting, I beg your pardon. One is on sleep and one is on food, but there is a Bath Quorum book on toileting as well. So first of all, just to begin, I was just going to say, you probably, like me, rush from other things to get on the webinar. So I'm just going to ask you really to just take some time to notice your body. So just take a minute to notice how you're sitting. Are you comfortable? Does your body feel supported? Have you got your feet on the ground or are they in a comfortable position? How's your heart doing? How's your breathing? And how's your skin temperature? Just take a little bit of time to turn your mind inwards and just really noticing what's happening inside. There may be other worries in your head, other things you've rushed from, all sorts of things you've got later on today. But if you can just let those drift through your head and just notice the body and allow the system to settle. So really noticing how you're being supported by the chair or whatever you're sitting on. Is the floor supporting you? Is the seat supporting you? Are you holding your muscles up or can you just let your muscles settle? So really noticing your head, how it's balanced on the neck. Is it comfortable? Do you need to move it? Any tension in your shoulders? Any tingling, other sensations in the arm? And all the time, noticing your heart rate, noticing your breathing, and noticing your skin temperature. Noticing your chest, and that breathing in and out, and the vibrations in your spine, that constant movement we have in our system of our heartbeat and of our breathing. Noticing your stomach and any digesting going on in there from breakfast, and just allowing your system to settle and seeing if you can let your breathing settle lower into your belly. Noticing your bottom sitting on whatever you're sitting on, and noticing your legs right the way down to the tips of your toes. And all the time, noticing your breathing, noticing your heart rate, and noticing your skin temperature. I'm now going to ask you as the sort of last thing while we just do this grounding and arriving, to just bring something into your mind that you know resources you, something that you know makes you feel good. Just spend just a minute just noticing what happens to your body if you let it calm, if you let it regulate in that way. Can you let that really flood through your system, that good resource, that person or place or event? Can you allow that to really resource you? And all the time, noticing your heart rate, noticing your breathing, and noticing your skin temperature. And just really allowing your system to settle. Okay, so I'm going to ask you just gradually to come back to the room and just to be aware of the body. We are going to be talking about the body, how it's impacted by food, how it's impacted by toileting, sleep. The whole way our body is wired is all connected and is impacted by stress. So if we're thinking about children who've had really difficult things happen in utero or post-birth, we need to be thinking about the body. Can we let the body calm and settle? And for lots of these kids, that's really, really hard. And trauma affects everything. It doesn't just affect what you think and feel, it affects your whole body, the way it's wired up, the way you manage your body temperature, the way your heart beats, how your breathing is, how your skin is, what it feels like, how the temperature is like. So everything about us is impacted. So if we're thinking about traumatized children, then we need to be thinking about calming the nervous system and the body. And that's a sort of foundational thing to be thinking about when we're thinking about these basic issues of parenting, of food, sleep, and toileting. We need to be thinking about the body and how it's impacted. Okay, so as you can probably tell, that is my particular passion. I am really, really keen to advocate how important understanding the body and the nervous system is to everything when we're thinking about traumatized children, but we're just thinking about us as stressed adults. It's really important to know what's happening in your body. And we tend to think about stuff in our heads. We don't tend to think about the whole body and the nervous system, but we are all connected. And the nervous system is wired right the way through our body, up through our spine, into our brainstem, into our head. So it's not possible really to have thoughts and feelings and stress without it impacting all of our system. Okay, I'm now going to bring the PowerPoint up and talk you through some things. So we are going, as the title says, back to basics. I think the basic of any parenting, of any therapy program, we have to think about sleep, food, and toileting as a first step. Because if nobody's sleeping, and if the food's not working, and if toileting is a nightmare, then actually everything's going to be impacted for the whole family. So they're really key as that first step of helping children and young people. So you've had the introduction about me, so I won't go over that. I probably should say Family Futures is a voluntary adoption agency. So we assess and approve adopters and help them match with children. And we are also an independent fostering agency. Although with the pandemic and with our building move, that's a little on hold, but that's about to be actioned, because we really want to evidence that as a not-for-profit agency, that supporting adoptive placements, supporting children in foster care, excuse me, is profoundly important. But really, as you can see from the bigger purple bubble, the most important thing we are is an interdisciplinary. So that's a multidisciplinary team that really works together, assessment and treatment service for developmentally traumatized children and their adoptive, foster, special guardianship or kinship care families. And really that's probably about 80% of what we do and what we've been doing since 1998 when we were set up. So we're thinking today really about how to support children who have had early traumatic experiences. After trauma, and Van der Kolk in his book, The Body Keeps the Score, so you see the body theme running through this. After trauma, Van der Kolk says, the world is experienced with a different nervous system. The survivor's energy now becomes focused on suppressing inner chaos at the expense of spontaneous involvement in their life. So it is really hard if you're traumatized to manage that trauma, but to also enjoy your life, because so much energy is directed to supporting, managing that distress. So what Van der Kolk also says is that mainstream trauma treatment has paid scant attention to helping terrified people experience their sensations and emotions. The body keeps the score. So really, what we know is that if you're so busy managing the trauma, it's very hard to experience other sensations and emotions. And the trauma treatment has often been focused on the thinking and the feeling about what happened, whereas we need to be thinking about the body. And the body, Van der Kolk says, keeps the score, which I would absolutely concur with, that you can really see with traumatized children and with the traumatized adults I've worked with, how much their bodies hold all that trauma in them. So we've just done an oxygen mask. So that body tracking exercise we did at the beginning is about really calming the body, noticing what's happening inside us. And the oxygen mask principle is a bit like on an aeroplane. On an aeroplane, they say when the oxygen masks come down that you put your own on first before helping your children put theirs on. And it's the same principle in parenting, in therapy, that we need to be, as the adults, managing our own nervous systems. We need to be having that oxygen mask, calming our bodies, being aware of what's happening to our systems before we begin to really try and help our children. Parenting is a hard task. Parenting a traumatized child is an extremely hard task, and we need to be looking after ourselves. So self-care, regulating the body, looking after ourselves, resourcing ourselves, knowing what really helps us personally is really going to help us have the equipment to help our children with their own bodies and nervous systems to put on their oxygen masks.
Want to hear more? You can download the full video via our website. All the links you need are in the caption. For more training, webinars and resources, visit familyfutures.co.uk/training.